The slave market was loud. Traders shouted. Buyers argued. Chains clinked. The air smelled of sweat, oil, and fear. Callan, a human trader, walked slowly through the crowd. His eyes moved over cages filled with aliens of many shapes and colors. Some were tall and strong. Some had glowing eyes. Some growled like animals. But then he saw her. In the last corner of the market, away from the lights, sat a small figure. She was curled into a ball, covered in dirt. Her skin, what little was visible, was grayish-brown, coated in mud. Her clothes were torn and stuck to her. Thin body. She looked half dead. A group of alien traders stood nearby. One of them laughed, pointing at her. "No one wants that thing," he said. "She smells like garbage. We should throw her in the fire." Callan frowned. "Who is she?" Another trader shook his head. "No one knows. Found her outside a crashed ship days ago. She won't speak. Might be sick. Useless." Callan took a step closer. As he did, a horrible smell hit him. Even he had to turn his face. But then the girl looked up. Her eyes were large, not normal, glowing silver color almost, like glass. They were filled with something he didn't expect. Fear, yes, but also pain and something else. Like she had been waiting for someone. She tried to sit up, but her arms were too weak. She fell again into the dirt. "No one will buy her." The trader said, "She's broken." Callan stared for a long moment. He remembered something, his little sister, long ago, crying in the rain. He had picked her up and carried her home. He turned to the trader. "How much?" The trader laughed. "For that thing? 1 credit. I'll even give you a bag to throw her in." Callan paid without another word. He walked over to the girl and knelt. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. She didn't move. Her breathing was slow. He gently lifted her in his arms. She was light, too light, like she hadn't eaten in days. Her skin was cold. Her body shook. As he carried her through the market, people moved away from them. Some covered their noses, others stared. One child even said, What is that?" Callan didn't care. He just held her close and walked faster. At his small home outside the city, he placed her on a soft bed. He turned on the heater and brought clean towels and water. She hadn't said a word. He looked at her closely now. Under all the dirt, he saw scratches and old scars. Her ears were slightly pointed. She had no eyebrows. Her fingers were long and thin. Her body was not fully human, not fully anything he recognized. He placed a small bowl of warm soup near her. She didn't move. Then he gently said, "I'm going to clean you, okay? Just a shower. It's warm. It won't hurt." Still, she didn't speak, but her silver eyes followed him as he guided her into the bathroom. When the hot water began to fall, she gasped. She tried to run, but slipped. Callan caught her. "Easy, easy," he said. "It's just water. Look." He stepped under the shower to show her. She stared. Slowly she let him guide her under the water, and then she cried, not loud, not wild, just silent tears. The dirt began to slide from her skin. Mud turned the water brown. Her real skin was a soft, pale blue. Lines of white glowed faintly across her arms and neck. She wasn't just some random alien. She was something rare. He handed her the soap and stepped back to give her space. She washed herself, her hands shaking. After the shower, she looked at her reflection in the mirror. She touched her face like she didn't recognize it. Her eyes filled with new tears. Callan gave her a towel and walked out, letting her dress in private. Later, she sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. She still didn't eat much, but her eyes were calm now. Callan sat nearby. "Do you have a name?" She opened her mouth slightly, then closed it. She looked down. "It's okay," he said. "Ah! You don't have to talk yet." She looked at him, eyes wide. Then for the first time, she whispered, "Why? Didn't you hurt me?" Callan blinked, because no one deserves to be hurt. Her body shook again, but this time, not from cold. From something else? Hope. Astra's steam filled the bathroom like a soft white cloud. The air was warm, but the girl still stood frozen. Her feet touched the wet tiles. Her arms hugged her chest. Her silver eyes stared at the water falling from the wall. She was scared. Callan stood near the door. He didn't step too close. He didn't touch her. He only spoke in a soft voice. "It's called a shower," he said. "Just warm water. It helps clean the body. It's not dangerous." The girl said nothing. She had cleaned her hands a little, but her skin was still covered in patches of dirt. Her long, dark hair was full of knots and dry mud. She looked like she had lived underground for months. He took a step back. "I'll wait outside. You can try it alone." He placed a clean towel and clothes on a small table. Then he walked out and closed the door gently. Inside, the girl stood still for a long time. The sound of the water made her tremble in her. Memory, water, had always meant pain. Cold buckets thrown at her in the cages. Water shocks in the lab, screams, chains. But this water was different. She slowly lifted her hand. Her fingers touched the falling stream, warm. She moved closer, step by step. Her whole body was shaking. But then the warmth hit her face, her shoulders, her arms. She gasped. Tears come uncontrollable, silent. She sank to her knees as the water poured down. Mud slid off her legs. Brown water ran into the drain. Her skin light blue beneath the dirt shone faintly. Strange glowing lines appeared on her back, like soft white tattoos. She rubbed her arms with soap, not sure how it worked. The foam surprised her. It smelled clean, like flowers. She stayed in the shower a long time. Outside, Callan waited, sitting at the table. He had made warm soup again. The house was quiet. He wondered about her. Where had she come from? Why was she thrown away like garbage? Why did no one want her? His scanner had picked up a strange pattern in her blood. Nothing matched in the galactic database. She wasn't on any record. It was like she didn't exist. The bathroom door creaked. He looked up. She stood there, wrapped in a towel, still wet. Her hair fell clean around her shoulders now. Her face was thin but beautiful. Her eyes glowed even brighter without all the dirt. She looked new, but her body still shook a little. Callan smiled gently. "Feel better?" She nodded once. "I made food. Soup. It's warm." She walked slowly to the table and sat. She picked up the spoon carefully, like she was afraid it would break. Then she took a small sip. She froze, then took another, and another. Soon the bowl was empty. She looked up at Callan, confused. "Why?" she whispered. He blinked. "Why? What? Why? Are you helping me? You bought me. You should. Own me. Hurt me." Callan leaned back in his chair. "That's not how I live. I didn't buy you to hurt you. I bought you because you were alone and scared." She stared at him for a long time. "I don't remember my name," she said slowly. "They took it from me." "Who?" Callan asked. "The ones in white coats?" She whispered with metal hands. "They called me test subject." He felt a chill. "What did they do to you?" She looked down at her glowing arms. "They said I had power, but it was locked, so they tried to break me." Callan stood. Slowly. "You don't have to be afraid now. You're safe here." She looked around the small house. It was old, but clean, warm, quiet, safe. A strange feeling grew inside her, a feeling she had forgotten. Comfort that night, she lay on the couch, wrapped in blankets. Callan had offered her his bed, but she refused. She didn't trust soft things yet. Callan stayed nearby, reading on his data tablet. Suddenly she asked, "Do you have a family?" He looked at her. "Not anymore, just me." She nodded. "Me too." A long silence followed. Then she said, almost too quietly to hear, "Thank you for the water." Callan smiled. "You're welcome." Far away, in the shadows of a distant building, two figures watched a screen. They saw her glowing body inside Callan's home. "She's alive," one said. "Impossible. the other hissed. We must bring her back, before she remembers everything. The night was quiet. Callan sat on the chair near the sleeping girl. His house, small and peaceful, was dark now. The stars outside blinked in the sky like watching eyes, but inside her mind, the stars were on fire. The girl tossed and turned. On the couch, her forehead was wet. Her hands gripped the blanket. She was having a nightmare. Suddenly she screamed. A sound so sharp, so filled with fear it cut through the silence like a blade. Callan jumped up. He ran to her. Hey, you're safe. Wake up. Her eyes flew open. They glowed bright silver in the dark. She sat up fast, breathing hard, her hands shaking. They're here, she said, her voice deep and strange. The white room, the wires, they burned me again. Callan placed his hand on the table close, but not touching her. You're not there anymore. You're here with me. Remember? Her breath slowed just a little. She looked around. Her eyes scanned the walls, the window. The lights dot, then her voice came again different, stronger. They put needles in my spine. They wanted to wake up something inside me, something I couldn't feel before. Callan sat down slowly. What did they want from you? They said I had code in my blood, that I could unlock something ancient, something lost. He looked at her carefully. Do you remember who they were? She closed her eyes. Scientists. Not human, not fully alive either. Machines and skin. They smiled when I screamed. He felt anger rise in his chest. Whoever they were, they had treated her like a thing, not a person. What else do you remember? He asked. Her hands pressed into her head. Not much. Flashes. Blue lights. Stars falling. A woman with glowing eyes like mine. She sang to me. Callan leaned forward. A mother. She nodded slowly. She told me, if I ever escaped, find the human heart, it would protect me. Callan felt something inside him tighten. That her mother had sent her to humans, and he was the one who found her. What's your name? He asked softly. She shook her head. They erased it, called me Subject 13. That's not a name. Callan said, that's a cage. She looked at him, surprised. You get to choose your name now, he said. Something that feels like you. She was quiet, and she whispered Ilari. Does it mean something? Callan asked. I don't know, she said, but it feels like mine. The next morning, Callan worked on his scanner. He had taken a small blood sample while she slept. Now, the data on the screen made his heart race. Her DNA was Mixtalian, but ancient, older than any race in the galaxy. Some parts of her genes were locked, like encrypted files. Symbols began to show in the code, not letters, not numbers. Something living. Ilari, he said, turning to her. You're not just an alien girl. You're something far more special. She looked down. Special people die first. That evening, Callan took her outside into the open yard. Stars shone above them. You need to learn how to be free again, he said. Out here, under the sky. Not in cages. Ilari looked up at the stars. She whispered, they watched me too. In the lab. I always thought the stars could see me cry, he smiled. Now they'll see you live. But peace never lasts long. Back. In the city, in a hidden lab under the ground, alarms began to flash. A voice said, Subject 13. Located. On a screen, her glowing face appeared, standing next to a human. A cold figure stepped forward. Half his face was machine. Other half had no eyes, only black holes. She has awakened, he said. Shall we send the seekers? Another asked, No, the figure replied. Send the hunter. That night, Ilari stood near the window. Callan walked up beside her. Can't sleep? She shook her head. The dreams are louder now. Louder, he asked. She turned to him. They're not just dreams, they're memories. Someone is calling me. I hear voices in my head, and one of them is mine. But older. Callan looked at her, confused. Older. Yes, like a future version of me is speaking back, warning me. He felt a chill. What is she saying? Ilari closed her eyes. Run. Asterisk. Ilari stood at the window again. Morning light touched her pale blue skin. The lines on her arms glowed faintly, even in daylight. But her eyes weren't calm anymore. They were watching, searching. They're coming, she whispered. Callan looked up from his data screen. Who's coming? Oh, the ones from my dreams. The ones who burned my name. Callan closed his tablet and walked over. Are you sure? Ilari nodded. I feel them, like shadows crawling under my skin. They're close. Far across the city, deep inside an underground facility, a dark figure stared at a glowing map. Larry's energy signature blinked like a red dot. The man wore a black coat. His face was hidden under metal armor. His voice was cold, dead. She should have died with the others, he said. But now she's active. Another agent stood nearby. We thought Subject 13's power was broken. It was asleep, the man growled, and that human woke it up. He turned to a screen showing Callan's face. Find him. Find her. Kill both. Back at the house, Callan checked his scanner again. Larry's body still showed strange patterns. Something inside her was growing like energy building up. We need to leave, she said suddenly. Why? Callan asked. They can trace me. Through sound, through blood, maybe even dreams. You're safe here, he said. Ilau looked into his eyes. No, I was never safe. You were, he paused. Her words hit him like ice. You think they'll come for me too? They already are, she whispered just hours later. Callan saw it for himself. As he returned from the local market, he noticed something strange. A tall alien wearing black armor stood outside his street, scanning the area with a floating drone. Callan changed direction quickly. He took the long way home, slipping through alleys. His heart beat fast. He entered the house and locked the door. They're here, he said. Ilari stood still. Then we have little time. She opened a small pouch Callan had given her. Inside was the towel from her first shower, a spoon from her first meal, and a drawing something she had made with charcoal, a small star and a hand reaching toward it. These are my memories now, she said. I won't lose them again. Callan grabbed a backpack and packed food, med supplies, and his scanner. We'll head for the mountain trails. There are caves out there. No signals, no cameras. Laurie looked around the house. Her silver eyes were sad. Liked this place. It smelled like safety. Callan touched her shoulder lightly. You're more than welcome here. Always. That night, while they prepared to leave, Callan received a strange message on his device. Unknown ID. One line only, you are sheltering. A threat to galactic order. Hand her over, or be destroyed with her. He showed it to Ilari, her hands clenched. That voice, I know that voice. Who is it? She stared at the screen. He called himself the Warden. He ran the place. Where I was kept. He said I was a mistake. An accident. A danger to everyone. Callan frowned. And are you? Ilari looked down at her glowing hands. I don't know yet. Before they left, Callan pulled out a small device. It looked like a coin but had a blue light in the center. This is a code beacon, he said. If we're ever separated, push the center. I'll come find you. She took it slowly, holding it tight. Why are you doing this? What do you mean? He asked. I was dirty, unwanted, dangerous. You had no reason to care. Callan smiled. You're wrong. I had every reason to care. You're alive. And someone made you feel like trash. That was wrong. Ilari felt something in her chest. Heavy but warm. She nodded. Then I'll protect you too. As they moved through the hills under moonlight, a group of dark ships flew above the city. Silent, invisible to normal eyes. Inside one of them, the Warden watched a screen. Ilari has left the home. She's on the move. A hunter in black armor knelt before him. Shall I bring her back alive? The Warden's voice was sharp. No. The code inside her must never awaken. Kill her before it's too late. Callan and Ilari reached the forest edge. They moved quietly under trees, stepping over rocks and roots. Suddenly, Ilari stopped. "What is it?" Callan whispered. She looked up at the stars. One of them just blinked out. Callan followed her gaze. Star bright and sharp was now gone. "That's not a star," she said. "It was a watcher." "Watcher?" She nodded. "They send them ahead to track energy." "What?" "And mine is glowing again." "What?" In the distance behind them, a strange sound echoed through the forest. A mechanical howl. Callan pulled her hand. "Run." The trees were tall and silent. The wind moved through their leaves like whispers. Callan and Ilari ran through the dark forest, their feet crushing dry leaves and twigs under them. Behind them, sound came again. How WWL-CHRR, KKK, metal and hunger. Cold and sharp. Not like an animal, not like a machine. Something worse. Illyri's glowing arms flickered under the moonlight. "It's not just a hunter," she said breathlessly. "It's a seeker unit. They send only one. Because only one is enough to kill." Callan looked over his shoulder. "How close is it?" She paused, eyes glowing. "It just crossed the ridge. It's tracking my energy. We need to hide it." "Can you shut it down?" "No," she said. "It's waking up, and I don't know how to stop it." They reached a narrow cave under a hill. Vines covered its mouth. Callan brushed them aside and pulled her inside. Inside the cave, it was cold. Wet stone. Echoes of dripping water. The light from Illyri's arms made the walls glow faint blue. They sat down, breathing hard. Callan placed his scanner on the ground. "Your energy's climbing again." "I know," she said, shaking. "I feel it rising, like fire in my blood. Something's trying to get out." "Then let it out," he said. She shook her head. "If I do, I might burn you too." Outside, the seeker moved through the trees. Its legs were long and thin. Its face had no mouth. No eyes only. A spinning red circle at the center. It didn't walk. It glided. Every step left frost behind. It stopped near the cave entrance and waited. Inside, Ilari felt it. "They know we're here." Callan nodded. "Then we don't stay." He pulled out 2 heat cloaks from his bag. "Put this over your body. It hides body heat." She obeyed, wrapping it tight. Then, from his pocket, Callan pulled out a tiny disc. "What's that?" she asked. "Decoy drone," he said. "Gives off fake heat and noise. Might buy us 10 seconds." He tossed the disc far into the woods. It beeped, then flew off. Seconds later, boom. The seeker shot after the sound. Now, Callan grabbed her hand. They ran. For 20 minutes, they moved fast and silent. Over rocks, through fallen logs, across a cold stream. Illyri's legs trembled. Her breathing was shallow. "I can't run more," she said. Selene stopped. "Then we fight." Stared at him. "You can't fight that thing." "I won't let it take you." She looked down. "I wasn't running to survive. I was running to protect you." He stepped close. "We protect each other." Larry's eyes filled with something warm. Not just fear, trust. They hid inside a hollow tree. Rain started falling. Heavy drops hit. The leaves above. Ilari leaned against him, her body cold. "When I was locked in the lab," she whispered, "I used to dream of this. Of being in a tree." He asked softly. "No, of someone holding my hand. Someone who didn't hurt me." Callan gently held her fingers. "You're real," she whispered. "So are you," he replied. But peace didn't last. A red light moved through the forest. The seeker had returned. It moved slowly now, longer searching. Hunting, Illyri's body shook. "It's calling my blood," she said. "Trying to pull it out?" "What do you mean?" "There's something inside me, something old." The warden called it the signal. It's like a map or a weapon. Suddenly, her eyes rolled back. She grabbed her head. Ilari. Images flashed in her mind. A star. A planet burning. A key made of light. A woman's voice. "Don't be afraid of what you carry," Ilari gasped, eyes glowing brighter than ever before. Callan stared. What's happening? She looked at him. Calm. Strong. Remember something. What? My real name? Suddenly, the Seeker blasted the tree. Boom, wood shattered. Laurie and Callan were thrown to the ground. The Seeker stepped forward, red eye spinning. Callan pulled a small blaster from his jacket. He fired. The bolt hit the Seeker's chest. Nothing. It grabbed him by the neck and lifted him off the ground. Selen struggled. Ilari. Run. She didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward. No more running. Her hands began to glow, first white, then gold. Light sparked from her fingers. The Seeker turned its red eye to her. She raised her arm and screamed. A wave of light shot out. Boom. The forest shook. The Seeker flew backward and crashed into the rocks. It twitched, then stopped moving. Callan dropped to the ground, coughing. Elari rushed to him. Are you hurt? He looked up, shocked. You stopped it. She nodded. I didn't try. It just happened. He smiled weakly. Remind me never to make you angry. She laughed, quiet but real, high above. A satellite camera caught it all. Inside the warden's ship, alarm sounded. She used her power, said a guard. The warden's eyes narrowed. The lock is broken. What now? He turned slowly. Now, we send the reclaimer. Asterisk, the forest was quiet again, but not peaceful. Smoke rose from the rocks where the Seeker had fallen. Its metal body twitched once, then went still. Ilari stood in front of it, her arms glowing gold. Sparks still danced across her fingers. Her breathing was heavy. Her silver eyes looked different now, not afraid, but focused. Callan sat on the ground, rubbing his throat. You did that. Ilari didn't answer at first. She just stared at her hands. I didn't know I could. You saved me, he said, voice rough. I didn't do it to save you, she said softly. I did it because I was done. Running, she looked at him then. But I'm glad you're alive. They found shelter in a cave near a river. Callan started a small fire. Ilari sat near the entrance, watching the stars. She spoke slowly, as if remembering pieces of herself. I saw something when the power came. I wasn't just feeling fear anymore, I felt voices, not from outside, from before. Before? What? Callan asked. Before the lab, before I was taken. He sat beside her. You remember now? She nodded. I wasn't born in a cage. I came from a ship of light. My mother had powers too. She said I was the last echo. Of a dying world? Callan raised an eyebrow. That sounds poetic. She said I carried the key. I didn't understand then. I do now. She looked at her glowing hands. It's inside me. It's far above the planet in orbit. A sleek black ship floated like a shadow. Inside, the warden stood before a tall glass. Inside the tank floated a figure twice as large as Ilari, with armored skin and a face like a skull. Its eyes were closed. Its body pulsed with cold energy. The Seeker failed, said a voice. The warden nodded. Of course it did. It wasn't built to kill her, only to scare her. He pressed a button. The tank hissed. The figure inside opened. Its eyes glowing red. Send the reclaimer, the warden said. She thinks she is strong now. Let her feel real power. Back in the forest, Ilari and Callan continued walking through the hills. Where are we going? He asked. To a place. In my dream, she said. I saw it after I used the power. A mountain with a circle of stones. I think something waits there. Like what? She paused, answers. That night, as they rested in a small wooden hut near the cliffs, Callan handed her a cup of warm tea. Ilari sipped it slowly. Not afraid of me now? He smiled. No. Should I be? She didn't answer. I've seen real monsters, Callan said. They wear clean clothes. Smile while hurting others. You're not a monster, Ilari. Her eyes watered. No one's ever said that to me. He looked at her gently. Then let it be the first of many things you hear that are true. But deep in the sky, fire suddenly broke through the clouds. A shape fell fast. Like a meteor, it hit the mountain with a roar. Boom. Birds flew from the trees. The ground shook. Callan stood up fast. What now? Laurie closed her eyes. It's here. What is? She turned slowly. The reclaimer. They rushed toward the mountaintop. Trees cracked behind them. Smoke rose. And then they saw it. The reclaimer stood nearly 3 meters tall. Black armor covered its body. Its face was smooth metal, with red fire burning behind the slits. It moved like a soldier, but there was something alive beneath the armor, something hungry. It raised its hand. A beam of energy shot toward them. Elari pushed Callan aside. Boom. The ground split. Dust rose into the air. She stood between the reclaimer and Callan. Her arms began to glow again, but this time, her body floated slightly off the ground. Target. Locked, the reclaimer said in a deep mechanical voice. Codebearer will be erased. Elari lifted both hands. Light exploded from her body like a star. The reclaimer stepped back, but not far enough. A blast hit its chest. It staggered. But then it laughed. You have power, but no control. It charged. They clashed in a blast. Of gold and red, Callan watched, helpless, as Elari fought like fire. She moved through the air, blasting light, blocking blows, her eyes glowing like suns. But the reclaimer was strong. Too strong, it slammed her into a rock. She cried out. Callan ran forward. Leave her alone. The reclaimer looked at him, then fired a small shot. Callan was thrown backward, hitting the ground hard. Elari. He gasped. She saw him fall, and something inside her snapped. She rose again. But this time, she didn't scream. She whispered, and the ground obeyed. Rocks lifted around her, wind roared. The trees bent. She was becoming something. Wait. One final cry. She blasted the reclaimer with all her energy. A wave of light spread across the mountain. When the light faded, the reclaimer was gone. Elari fell to her knees. Callan crawled to her side, coughing. You okay? He whispered. She nodded weakly, I think. I'm changing. He smiled. I noticed. The sun rose slowly over the broken mountain. Smoke still floated in the air. Trees were burned. Rocks were cracked. But in the center of it all, Elari sat quietly, her silver hair blowing in the wind, her skin glowing softly. Callan sat beside her, a bandage on his arm. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You're not just a girl anymore, he said quietly. Elari didn't answer right away. She was listening to something only she could hear. It's waking up, she said. What is? She pointed to the sky. The warden. The one who made me a slave. He knows I'm free now. And he's coming. Orbit above the planet. The warden stood inside his control room. The reclaimer is gone, his assistant said. Erased. The warden didn't blink. Good, that means the final program is ready. He opened a small glass box. Inside, it was a black crystal, pulsing with dark light. She thinks she's free, he said coldly. She thinks she's more than trash. But I wrote her story. I made her. I will end her. He placed the crystal into a large machine. A pulse went through the ship. Launch the black signal, he ordered. Back on the mountain, Elari gasped. What is it? Callan asked. She clutched her head. He's calling me. Through something deep. Something dark. I can hear his voice. He's trying to erase me from inside. Her fingers trembled. He put a trigger in me when I was a child. Something buried. Something evil. Callan held her shoulders. Then fight it. You're not his anymore. Tears fell from her eyes. I want to believe that. Suddenly the sky turned red. A black beam shot down from above, hitting the mountain. Everything shook. Elari screamed, falling to her knees from the light. A shadow stepped out. Not a machine, not a soldier, but another her. A second Elari. Same face, same silver hair, but eyes black as night. A cruel smile on her lips. Hello, broken one, the shadow Ellery said. I am the part of you he kept, the part he made to replace your soul. Callan stared in shock. What is that? Ilari stood up slowly. She's me, but twisted. The version the warden wanted me to be. A weapon. Shadow Larray laughed. And now I'm here to finish the job. The two Alaris faced each other on the mountaintop. Why do you protect him? The Shadow one asked. He's just a human. Weak. Slow. Dying. Ilari clenched her fists. He's the first person who didn't look at me like trash.
Ilari
Stepped closer. He pities you. No, Ilari said, standing tall now. He sees me. The mountain shook again. The two of them flew into the airlight and shadow, crashing in the sky below. Callan watched with wide eyes as the two girls fought like stars exploding. Golden beams and dark smoke hit each other midair. You can't win, Shadow Ilari shouted. You were broken. I was broken, Ilari said. But I healed. She focused all her energy. She didn't attack with power this time. She opened her arms and hugged her shadow. For a moment, everything stopped. Shadow-Ilari froze. What are you doing? I'm taking you back, Ilari whispered. You're part of me, and I'm not afraid of you anymore. Shadow Ilari began to crack dark lines glowing on her skin. You were never meant to love. I learned, Ilari said, holding her tighter. Because someone believed in me. With a flash of light, Shadow Ilari vanished into golden dust. Back in space, the warden's ship shook violently. No, he shouted. This wasn't the plan. She was supposed to break. But the crystal in his machine cracked, then exploded. A final message blinked on his screen. The trash learned to shine. The ship vanished in a ball of light. Back on the mountain, Ilari fell gently to the ground. Her eyes were peaceful. Callan ran to her. Ilari. She smiled. I'm okay. He knelt beside her. It's over. She looked at the sky. I think. It's just beginning. Weeks later, the forest was green again. Ilari stood beside a new house made of stone and wood. She had built it herself. Callan walked out carrying a box of books. Need help? She nodded. Always. He grinned. You know, not many people believe the story of the dirty alien girl who saved a world. She smiled gently. Good. Then they'll never see me coming. He looked at her with admiration. So, what now? Ilari looked toward the stars. I'm going to find others like me. Others he broke. Others thrown away. She took Callan's hand, and I'll show them. They're not trash.